Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to the Andrew Tate Show, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We've got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be covering Deion Sanders, saying his son, I learned how to pronounce this, and then I forgot. Can you enlighten me? Shedeur. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was
Saying
like, I don't know where she's going right now, ladies and gentlemen. I have no clue what she's talking about. Then I realized it's
saying his son Shedeur probably would have been second quarterback pick if he entered the NFL draft. We're also going to be talking about ESPN making some deals for the new streaming service. And then, as always, since it's Friday, we have our special on dating horror stories. Before we start, though, I would like to ask you guys like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. That tips and donation link is gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also just really helps the show. Apologies. Sorry. I thought that's what it was. I really did think that's what it was, but I didn't want to mess it up. So
all of a sudden, you just kind of pause, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. How are you doing today, Miss Faith?
I'm good. It's Friday. I'm so glad that it's Friday.
It's an extra busy day for me because I immediately go from this show to the GSMC College Football Podcast. So I'm actually going to be doing that with Tommy today. Yeah. Not the whole show. I'm only doing a couple of segments in there. So that's going to be interesting. And then, I got to share something with you. I still think this is super cool. And it's dumb, but it's cool to me. Sometimes, it only happens a few times a year, living in Southern Europe. So sometimes you look outside and the sky is all red and it's incredibly beautiful. But then sometimes you come out, and like this morning I came out and all the cars are covered in red dust, all of them. And when we first moved here, it was like, what is this stuff?
Yeah.
What it is a sandstorm from the Sahara Desert throws up so much sand that it covers parts of Portugal and Spain.
That's crazy.
Today, my car was completely covered with sand from the Sahara Desert. I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
My car's filthy, but yes.
I'm trying to remember, where is the Sahara located at?
In Northern Africa.
And it goes all the way to Europe?
But wait a minute, though. You don't realize, Americans don't realize, this is not me attacking you or anything, how close Europe and Africa are. I could get in my car, and 5.5 hours from now, I can be in Morocco. Now, granted, there's a ferry that takes your car across, but I'm only 5.5 hours from Morocco, Africa.
I have to look at a map real quick. Hold on.
I'm throwing a curveball at you there. You're like, wait a minute, let me look at a map. Yes.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Still, that's crazy though that it travels that far.
So it is so cool to be like, my car is filthy because there was a sandstorm in Africa, in the Sahara Desert, and I have Sahara Desert dirt on my car.
That is crazy.
Eventually, I'm sure at some point I'll be like, all upset, like living in California and the forest fires and the ash drops on your car and you're like, not happy about that. I guess eventually I'll be like, freaking Sahara Desert. But right now, it is kind of awesome to be like, my car's covered with dirt from the Sahara Desert.
Yeah.
That's weird, right?
Yeah, we just get pollen here.
And then the fact that you had to look it up, like, wait a minute, where is it? But
I forget. Yeah.
So
Geography
anyway,
is important.
geography is important, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh gosh.
Because you think about that and you're like, wait a minute, wait, the Sahara Desert is like nowhere near you. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It's in my backyard.
Yeah, kind of in your backyard.
Yeah, like I said, 5 hours and you're in Morocco.
Hmm.
5.5 hours, depending on how you drive. If you drive like my German friends, it may be 4.5 hours. Girl, that's the other thing. I am used to driving on highways in America.
Hmm.
I'm the little old man that drives on the roads because, first off, I'm used to kilometers. And so I'm doing 130 kilometers, and I'm like, whoa, that's like fast.
Yeah.
But then you get in the car with your German friends, and they're used to driving 200 kilometers an hour. And it's just like, what the heck? Which is like 150. That's
Jeez
just
Louise. Yeah.
that 150 miles per hour. And that's just like, oh yeah, I drove the whole way doing 150.
I
And
don't
they
think I've
think,
ever gone over like 85 miles per hour.
exactly. When you're compared to the Germans, we drive super slow. Like the
Yeah.
fastest drivers drive slow. I don't
Hmm.
understand. And they're comfortable with it. They're drinking a soda. They're jamming to the tunes and just, and I'm like, oh no. I
Yeah.
won't even ride with my buddy Alex. I don't even ride with him anymore because I'm too afraid. Anyway, let's get to the show.
Alrighty. So Deion Sanders says, son, say it again for me.
Shedora.
Shedeur. Okay. Shedeur probably would have been second quarterback pick if he'd entered the NFL draft. Colorado coach Deion Sanders says his son, quarterback Shedeur Sanders, probably would have been the second quarterback pick in next month's NFL draft if he'd elected to leave school early rather than return to Colorado for his senior season.
Whoa.
Sorry.
It's Friday. You're supposed to be on your A game.
He wouldn't have been the first quarterback off the board. I think he had the ability, but he probably would have been the second quarterback off the board, Sanders said Wednesday. USC quarterback Caleb Williams is projected by most draft analysts to go first overall to the Chicago Bears. North Carolina quarterback Drake May, Heisman winner, and LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels, national champion, and Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy are all expected to go early in this year's draft. The only reason that I know don't you think I know people in the NFL? I'm sorry, I played for how many years? 14, got a gold jacket at the crib. I think I know some people. Jerry Jones, Arthur Blank. I know some people in the game. Roger Goodell. So when I speak, I'm not just throwing stuff out of my head. I'm throwing stuff based on knowledge. So let's get that straight. Sanders commented. So Sanders, who started 2 seasons at Jackson State before following his father and transferring to Colorado after the 2022 season, threw for 3,260 yards and 27 touchdowns with 3 interceptions. He completed 298 of 430 of his passes for the Buffaloes, who finished 4-8 despite winning their first 3 games. So, do you agree? Do you agree with the statement that Deion Sanders made about his son?
Okay, I'm going to throw some caveats in here first.
Mm.
First off, I am a huge Deion Sanders fan.
Mm-hmm.
Huge Deion Sanders fan. Even before he ever played for the Cowboys, I love Deion.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always followed Deion. And then I followed him when he went to Jackson State, and I watched Jackson State, and I have been a huge fan and follower of Colorado and Deion and his sons there. So I've watched all of this from the top. The first statement I say in my head is this. What Deion is talking about, saying that, he knows a lot of people in the NFL, so he's getting a lot of inside information. And they're telling him that his son would probably be the second quarterback taken.
Mm-hmm.
My first question is, are they telling him that because it's a son and they're trying to be nice?
Right.
Um, because my question is this, or my statement is this: if Shedeur is going, it would be the second quarterback taken in the NFL draft that make him the number 2 pick. Sorry about that. Then I think Deion should have told his son to turn pro this year. You know, I'm sorry. I feel like it's a disservice to have him come back to college if he's going to be the second pick. You definitely 100% put him in the draft. Now, your question is, do I believe this? When Deion was at Jackson, Shedeur was at Jackson, I'm like, of course he's lighting these dudes up because they're at Jackson State and they're playing other historically Black colleges, and the quality of play is not the same. And so I always took that approach, like, yeah, he's doing it against inferior competition. And then he transferred to Colorado. And I watched him against Nebraska, and I watched him against TCU and USC and Oregon and all these other top flight programs. And he can spin it. He is a quality quarterback. I don't know if he's the second quarterback taken, but he's a quarterback that goes in the first round. He's one of the 4 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Sorry. In the NFL draft. I'm not going to say in the NFL. That's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. But he is definitely one of the 4 best quarterbacks in the draft. And there could be as many as 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round. So when you look at that, then I agree with Deion. What Deion is saying, I don't have the same context that he has, but from what I've seen, yes, he can. Now, going back to what I said, as far as if he's getting word that he would have been a second quarterback taken, you put him in the draft. But if it's something that you're not sure, with so many quarterbacks in this draft, it is very easy to slide. So waiting another year and have him come back in next year's draft moves him up the ladder, and he's going to be either the first or second quarterback taken off the board this year. I think he's going to be a top quarterback unless something crazy happens. He has plenty. Colorado's going to be a much better team this year. He's going to have a better offensive line. Colorado has receivers on top of receivers with a side order receivers. So there's a lot of weapons he's going to have. I see Shedeur having an incredible year this year and contending for the Heisman Trophy. Now Shedeur is maybe this doesn't apply to him as much, but this is a great example. The top 2 highest paid players for name, image, and likeness is Cooper Manning, Peyton Manning's nephew. Grandfather is Arch Manning, one of the greatest to ever do it. Other uncle is Eli Manning, future Hall of Famer. Peyton Manning, Hall of Famer. And Shedeur Sanders. Those are the 2 guys that make the absolute most money in name, image, and likeness.
Yeah.
The fact is, talking about name, image, and likeness, normally the fact that Arch Manning he didn't transfer out of Texas and is going to, for the second year, he's going to be a backup because there's no real rush, because there's not that money, the lure of, I have to go to the NFL to get the money to get paid to take care of my family isn't there. So Arch Manning did not transfer or go to another school where he could turn pro right away. or Shedeur, who's like, they're saying, I'm the second quarterback taken in the draft, or I'm going to be a first round pick. If you are the normal average quarterback in college before name, image, and likeness, you got no money and you were just a poor kid who played football well. You would go to the NFL way before its time. This is an example of two quarterbacks that are making incredible money playing college football, and they're not rushing to get to the NFL before their time. So I know I'm saying it both ways, but this is an example of how name, image, and likeness, and like I said, the Mannings and Deion Sanders, they're loaded, they're wealthy beyond belief. But there's a lot of kids that are in college because name, image, and likeness, they don't have to rush and force themselves to go to the NFL before they're ready. This is just two examples of how you can take your time and turn pro at the right time. And we did a story a while back where not as many players were declaring for the NFL draft this year. That's because before it would be like, listen, I know I can make the practice squad on somebody, so I'm going. Or I know I'll be a sixth round pick. I'm going because that means a few $100,000, which is more money than I've ever had in my life. Now these guys are waiting, and I can play 2 more years instead of being a sixth rounder. I'm a first rounder or a second round player, not being forced to turn pro before it's time. That's what I get out of this story most of all, is the fact that Shedeur doesn't have to turn pro. He can make his money in the NFL and turn pro when he's ready. Part of me is like, man, if you're going to be the second player pick, you should go now. But also, there's another part of me that's like, you don't have to turn pro until you're ready to turn pro. Nowadays, that's what name, image, and likeness has done for college football, and it's a good thing. That's what I was going to leave it on.
So you feel that it's smart that he's not going into the draft this
year? I
year?
don't know. I'm a little twisted on this one because of the fact that if he's literally being told he would be the second quarterback taken, I feel like you have to go turn pro.
Well, maybe he wants to graduate college.
I don't know. I don't want to make it, I'm not making accusations, but a lot of the kids nowadays aren't even on campus. They're doing all, their classes all online. They're not really there. And if you're doing your classes online, you can turn pro and still get your degree.
Okay.
You understand what I mean? So that's two totally different conversations. The conversation for me is maybe Deion, who knows the NFL, is like, listen, you're not, even though you could be the second pick in the draft, I want my son going when he's ready. And with Deion's bank and with Shedeur's, how much he's getting, they don't have to do that anymore. And a lot of players will not have to be forced to turn pro because of projections. But whenever their camp, and when I say camp, I mean them, their agent, the scouts, and the family are like, you're ready to go. Now you're ready to and I think it's going to, name, image, and likeness is going to help a lot of poor kids get out of a bad situation. And I think it's going to improve overall quality of NFL play because there's going to be a lot more players turning pro that are going to be much more, are more adapted to playing at that level, not turning pro because, hey, I just need the money.
Right.
And if I could just make the practice squad, or if I could be a 6th round pick, at least I've made the league and I've made I'm making a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to go away. Or it is all, matter of fact, it is already starting to go away, because if you're a 6th round pick and you're like, I could stay another year and maybe I'm a 3rd round pick, or maybe I can stay another 2 more years.
Mm-hmm.
That is happening because name, image, and likeness is doing this for the players.
Mm-hmm.
People are very upset about name, image, and likeness sometimes, but it's doing some good. There's kids that maybe, hey, I'm not really going to be an NFL player, but I can play college long enough that I can take care of myself and my family and set us up and give us a new leash on life.
Mm-hmm.
I twisted this all into a name, image, and likeness conversation. And I look at it as a good thing.
Well, also, like, even the people who will probably go to the NFL, I feel like it makes them more ready for that as well, too. They're not rushed into going into the NFL draft as well. So
yes, like this year, there are a lot of really good quarterbacks,
mm-hmm.
and Shedeur is one of them. But now there are some quarterbacks that, like, you look at this draft and it's like, man, there's too many quarterbacks in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a financial decision. Well, even though there's like 7 quarterbacks that may go ahead of me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going to turn pro because I'll be a 4th-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can come back because they're making $500,000, $1 million a year. And they're like, okay, I'm not going in this draft because I could slide. I need a little bit more polishing.
Mm-hmm.
So I might as well get polished in college, start, and then turn pro. And it's not like, hey, I'm eating top ramen and Kraft macaroni and cheese in my college dorm anymore. It's that those days are gone. Those guys are making 100, 200, 500, $1 million a year to play college, and they don't have to rush and leave.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
alrighty. Well, we're going to take a quick break, guys, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about ESPN and how they are open for business. So make sure you guys stick around.